Okay, so good morning, everybody. I'm Mélanie Duval. I'm a French researcher. So in terms of specialty, I'm a geographer. I'm a geographer in tourism and heritage. So I'm not archaeologist, but I'm working on tourism and heritage applied to archaeological sites. So I'm working in connection with archaeologist people, but as a geographer, I'm more interested to understand how and a place become an heritage, and then how this heritage sites may be opened or valorized for tourism, and why it's working and why it's not working sometimes in terms of tourism process. So the aim of the talk today, it is to share with you the research that I've done in the Drakensberg area, and then from this point to show you how we are working in this area in terms of heritage values-based approach, and to conclude with a reflection on what is the cosmopolitan approach and how it may be useful to go further in heritage management. Just try to give to go to the other slide. Yes. So I now cut the camera. Does it fine for the micro? If someone can answer to me?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. So I'm working in this area for, let's say, 29 now in the Drakensberg area. And so the aim of the presentation today, it is to discuss how rock art tourism is managed in the Maloti-Drakensberg World Heritage Site since the World Heritage inscription, and to have a discussion on the assessment and issues, and then to conclude to the cosmopolitan approach. Some element on context to start. So the Drakensberg area is so this mountain, so between South Africa and the Lesotho, and in this area, in the southern, and I will more focus in the southern, in the South African part of the mountains. I will speak a little bit on the Lesotho part of the mountains, but the talk is more focused on the South African part. So in the South African part of the mountains, many protected areas have been created from the beginning of the 20th century. And so you have here the different numbers you have. It's connected to the different kind of protected areas with different kind of statues. And in 2000, all these protected areas, they have been inscribed as a unique World Heritage Sites. So it means basically this World Heritage Site, it is composed by several protected areas, but all of them, they are in the same heritage site, and they have a unique integrated management plan, and they are managed by a unique stakeholders, Ezemvelo, KZN Wildlife. And it is a particular World Heritage Site as it is both mixed site. It is mixed site, so both for natural and cultural resources. So for the rock art sites, so mainly done by the San people. And you also have other kind of rock art sites, but they are in the inscription to the World Heritage Sites. They are, let's say, they are not pushed. They are not underlined in the dossier for the inscription. So what is more underlined, it is San rock art sites. And also this mountains, this part of the mountains has been inscribed relating to the landscape and the biodiversity resources of the mountains. And then you have an extension of this initial World Heritage site. At the beginning, it was only in the South African part, and then you have an extension in 2013 with the integration of the Sechala-Tebe National Park in the Lesotho part. So both for cultural and natural resources, you also have some rock art sites into this part. So this extension, it is directly linked to a huge project starting at the beginning in 2000. It was the project of the Maloti-Drakensberg Transfrontier area. So you have here on the map the perimeter of this huge area. The aim of this area, it was to manage that Lesotho and South African partners, they managed together this area, very important in terms of water resources. And the idea at the beginning, it was to have a World Heritage site, not in all this perimeter, but much more larger than it is finally, because it's just an extension, including Sechala-Tebe National Park. And at the beginning, the idea it was to have a more large World Heritage site in the Lesotho part as well. But to be declared as a World Heritage site, you have to have a protection statute in the country, and in Lesotho it was a lot of troubles to create more protected areas along the escarpment. So that's why, because Sechala-Tebe National Park was created 20 years ago, finally only this one has been integrated into the World Heritage site. So in this World Heritage site, we do have a rock art site. So I will first start with how it was in the South African part, and then more focus in a short explanation on the Lesotho part. So for the South African part, when it has been inscribed on the UNESCO site, the institution in charge of the cultural resources for the KwaZulu-Natal province, the name is AMAFA, was working closely with the Ezemvelo KZN Wildlife, so the stakeholders in charge of the natural and environment aspects. And AMAFA identified many sites, many rock art sites, which could be open for tourism. So it is a little bit strange to say open, because basically they are in a shelter, and shelters, they are open to the landscape, but it is the word that is used is open. So this rock art site have been selected regarding a series of criteria, and the idea it was also to have here it is not clearly said in the different criteria, but the idea it was also for the institution to have rock art site open for tourism in the different parts of the World Heritage site, because one of the issue it was to involve and to get some incomes to the local communities living around, and so that's why to have rock art sites in all the World Heritage sites, it was also one of the criteria. And so it's basically in all the South African part of the mountains, it is something like today 700 rock art sites that have been recorded. So as you can see, so it is more or less 20 sites open for tourism in this entire number of 700 rock art sites in the mountains. But not all of this, so this is the rock art sites, let's say, officially identified to be open to tourism. But when you go on the field and try to have an experience to those different rock art sites, it's not really the same that you can have an experience as a tourist. So in this map, what do we have? So in red, it's rock art sites who are on the official list. In yellow, it's rock art sites which are not in the official list, but maybe experience on the field as a tourist. So it means that you have some offer to visit that site. And when you have red circle and yellow inside, it's both on the official list and both on the, let's say, experience list. And so the difference on these two lists may be explained regarding several reasons. I will not go in the details today. So one of them, it's because some rock art sites in the official list, they are too damaged. So you can see, for example, this one with some scratches. And so the local guides, they decided, even if they are in the official list, not to go to this one, but to go mainly in this one, Ikanti. You have here the picture of Ikanti. So there's 3 sites, they still are in the official list, but basically no guide offered to the tourists to go there because they judge the experience is not appropriate. And other reason is some other rock art sites, they are on the path to go to see something. For example, this one in the northern part. So here you have a rock art site just behind the tree, and this one. So it is on the path walk to go to a short waterfalls. And so visitors coming in Royal Natal area, they go to this path to go to the waterfalls. And even if you have here a rock art site behind the tree, there is no word and no indication to the visitors that they can see something here. So basically it is opened to the public because the visitors, they take this path, and but it's not really open in the sense that the visitors, there is no way for them to realize that they can see something behind this tree. And here in Game Pass shelter, it is more or less the same. So when you go to Game Pass with the shelter open for tourism, you go through a big shelter, a waterfall shelter, and you also have some rock paintings here. But there is no, it depends of the guide. Some guides will show you the paintings here in the waterfalls, but not all the times. So if you are visitors without knowing that you have a rock art site here, you will go through the waterfalls to the main site without to know there is something. So that's why it is open, but basically there is no experience. And another explanation of the difference of the 2 lists, on the official one and the experience one. It's because some of them, they are not inside the World Heritage Sites limits. So it's possible as a visitors to find some information to visit this one in Mweni, for example, area. Or this one is Utekwane shelter, some accommodation. They offer to visit the site to their clients, but so they are not in the official list because they are outside of the World Heritage Site. So finally, 23 rock art sites can be visited by tourists into the World Heritage Site, the South African part. And after the extension, 5 rock art sites have been added to this list into which are in Sheshala-Tebe National Park. In terms of number of visitors, so the map you show now, it is so yes, it's now not accurate in the sense of this data. They have been collected in 2009 and 2010, and it's quite a huge staff to collect this kind of data because you don't have any automatic transmission of this data to the main stakeholders, and you don't have any, they are not also put into some computer or things like that. So it means you have to go in each part of the mountains and to identify the different guides and to ask them their register and to try to evaluate the number of visitors they have during the year. When I came back in 2014 and 2017, at this time, I didn't have the time to go through all the guides to meet again all the guides, but I did some focus in some area, and more or less it was the same level of visitors. And what we have seen last week, because we returned in the Drakensberg area last week, after COVID period, it is between 3 to 4 times less in terms of number of visitors. So as you can see in this number, the different kind of number, the different amount of visitors, some of them, they are concentrated in the main, let's say, rock art places which have been selected to push rock art tourism into this area. So one of them, it is a game pass shelter, rock art center have been done in at the beginning in the 2000s, and you also have infrastructure around the shelter. So after we can discuss with on this type of infrastructures because it means that you have to have the key to go inside, and so it's also a kind of infrastructure who cut the relation who the local communities may have to the site because they have to have the key. So it is a point I will come back at the end of the presentation. And main cave, it is another site. It is this one. It's quite huge in terms of level of tourism. And it's directly connected to the quality of the road to get there, and also by the fact you have a restaurant very close to the rock art shelter. So basically the big tourism agency in South Africa, when they offer to see rock art site into the Drakensberg, because it is not systematically, they do offer to go to see to main cave because it is very easy to get the place, to reach the place, and after you can combine that with time to the restaurant and then go back and continue your trip. Another one, it is Didima, the Didima Center. It's so it's not directly connected with one rock art site. It is an interpretation center, and there you can book some guides to visit other, to visit some real rock art sites. So it is, but as far as I know, but I'm not sure if it is connected with COVID period or not. But now it is closed. And I don't know if it is permanently closed or not. I don't have any information on that. And if we consider now, if we compare this number of visitors seeing rock art sites and the number of visitors in this entire area. So if you remember the number of visitors in total, let's say it is 27,000 visitors for a year. And if we compare with the number of visitors coming in this area, so the visitors are coming into the park. So it means they are coming into the limit of the park. So it means they pay an entrance ticket to go in the protected areas. The figures for 2009, and as far as I know, it is more or less the same just before the COVID period. I don't have any figures for after the COVID period. It is too recent, but it is more or less a stable number of visitors per year, and so these are the visitors coming inside, but in the majority, the visitors in this area, they are not coming inside. I show you some example here. So generally, what they are doing, they park the car very close to the limit of the site. So here you see you have two very small houses, and the limit of the park, it is just behind these two houses. And there, here you have a restaurant when you can have a coffee or tea. So people generally, they are coming there, they park the car, they go to have a coffee and to enjoy the view on the same times. But a very few number of them, very few proportion, they paid an entrance ticket to go inside the park. And for example, here on the other image, like here on the right, up on the right, you have the road to go to Lesotho Park, the Sani Pass road, a very scenic road. And a lot of tourists, they are using or rent a 4x4 to go to this road and to go to Lesotho, and in the top, what they call you have a pub at the end of the road. So it is the highest pub in South Africa. So it's let's say a famous product, to tourist product in this area. And again, the tourists doing this experience, they are not included in the tourists going into the protected areas, because the limit of the protected areas, they are in each side of the road. So it means the road is not going inside the protected area. So you don't have to pay any entrance fees, and you are not you are not in this number of visitors going in the park. So if we consider the total number of tourists in this in this entire area, more or less it is 1.5 million per year, and the majority of them, they stay in their accommodation and they enjoy the mountain landscape to have doing some sports, swimming pools, things like that, but they are not going inside the World Heritage Site. So what we have to compare, basically, it is 20. So it is this number of 27,000 visitors per year for rock art sites, and on the other sites, 1.5 million visitors coming in this entire area and to enjoy mountain landscape. So why we are in this such situation where rock art sites, they have been part of the UNESCO process. It is one of the reasons the mountains have been inscribed on the UNESCO list. And so why do we have this? They are one of the high value of the mountains, and at the same time they are very less a few number of visitors going to visit rock art sites. So why do we have this gap? One of the main factors to explain this gap, it is the way the promotion, the way the region is promoted. So if you go to the different guidebooks, so international guidebooks, but also national and provincial guidebooks, you will not find any words of rock art sites open for tourism. The exception, it is this brochure done specifically on the Drakensberg destination, but even if it is focused on Drakensberg destination, so the entire brochure, it is 38 pages, and over the 38 pages, only one page is focused on rock art sites open for tourism. The other pages, they are on nature, landscape, and other sports you can have in this area. And for this brochure, for the KwaZulu-Natal, it is more or less only, the majority is dedicated to the Zulu history and the Zulu cultural experience you can have in the region. So the way how all the region is promoted is one of the factors explains that so few visitors are going to see rock art site, and particularly for international visitors, the classical way they are doing when they come in South Africa for holidays. So the majority of the trips of international visitors for 3 weeks, they arrive in Johannesburg, they go to the Kruger, then they go through here and in Santa Lucia. They go into the Drakensberg for at least maximum of 3 days, and then they go to Duval. Generally, they fly. Alors, sometimes they fly directly to the Cape Town area. Sometimes they will drive to the Wild Coast and then take a fly and go to the Cape Town area, and they go back overseas from start. They can return to Johannesburg, but not all the time. But anyway, it means that it's a very, let's say, organized trip, and they don't really have the time to find what to do when they are here. It means that generally they book everything in advance. So if you don't have any information of guidebooks, you are not able to plan your trip. To plan to see rock art site during your trip. And when you arrive in the Drakensberg area, basically it is too late, because imagine you arrive and you realize you can see a rock art site, but you are only here for 2 days. So to manage to book a guide and to do the experience, generally it doesn't fit into the times you have in this area. The other factors that explain this gap between the place of rock art sites in the UNESCO inscription and the low level of visitors seeing rock art sites, it is the stakeholder relation between SMVelo KZN Wildlife, so in charge of environment aspect, and AMAFA in charge of cultural aspect. So I will not go through in this point now, because it will take me too many times. If you have some question, we can go back to this point after. I would like to more develop the system of locate guides that we have in this area, which is definitely not sustainable. So when the 23rd, 24 sites, rock art sites, have been identified to be opened for tourism, at the same time, a system of local guide was set up. So what is this system? So it's a statue. It's not a tourist guide with a TITA accreditation. So the custodian system, it is really specific to the KwaZulu-Natal, because it has been put in place by AMAFA. And so it is a statue which seeks at the same time to ensure the preservation of the paintings, and also to involve local population through these activities of guiding. So it have to be a local person coming from local communities, and in this sense, local communities, it's communities living around the limit of the World Heritage Site, and people who is unemployed and who may be available to drive some tourists to the site when they arrive, and they have to have a visit. And you have to be able to supervise tourists once they are on the site. So it means their main task, it is to supervise. It is not to deliver information, but it is to be sure that tourists, they will not damage the sites. And they are not employed, so it means their incomes depend directly on the number of tourism. But as we have seen, the rock art site tourism is not tourism is not well promoted on the regional level, provincial level. So basically, these guides, they don't have the skills to develop tourism, and they spend a lot of time to wait. The arrival of potential tourists who are not coming, and so you have a negative feedback and so a lot of yes, they lose the motivation to come, and generally as soon as they have the opportunity to do another job, they move. So you have a lot of waste of time, of energy, of everybody. And also another factor who explain this gap between the place of rock art site in the World Heritage Site process and the few number of visitors coming to see rock art sites. This is the contents of the experience, of the tourist experience. So the custodians, they are not trained they are not trained as a guide. They are trained to supervise visitors. And generally, they have a few, let's say, a few skills to develop a discourse, but mainly on the aesthetical aspect. So they will do a description of the paintings and more focus on the quality of the paintings. And but it's also because so the people in charge to identify the custodian people, they told them that they are to be to focus only on the scientific aspect, and they are not to include a spiritual dimension. But it really depends on the guides that you have. Some of them, sometimes they will more include also personal, explain the personal relations they have to the sites. And it really depends of the guide who will be there when you arrive. So the quality of the tourist experience is very variable, depending on the guide which will be there. So the main issues in so on this rock art heritage management in this area. It's one of them. It is the necessity to take into account the history and territorial context to be able really to contextualize rock art tourism within all their territorial dynamics, and to think again how to involve the local community, and to think again about this custodian system, and to also to think about a business model and that allows the sustainability of the guided system, and to have better connection for that with all the tourism industry. Because also one of the main factors in the Drakensberg area is that the different kind of tourist services provider, they are not aware that you can visit rock art sites, and they do not recommend to their clients to go and to have this kind of experience. For example, if you consider all the accommodation into this area and the marketing they are doing and what they offer to their clients, the visit to a rock art site, it's really few mention in their website, and also directly on the accommodation space. You have a lot of offer to enjoy landscape, and to have some 4x4 trip to discover the biodiversity of the mountains, but you have a very few offer connected regarding rock art site experience. So to work more with different kind of stakeholders in tourism industry, it's a huge necessity to try to push rock art tourism in this area. And also, and it will, I arrive to the conclusion of this presentation, it is to better taking into account all the uses and the perception of rock art sites, because the way how rock art tourism, rock art heritage tourism was developed at the beginning of the, let's say, through since it is inscribed on the UNESCO list, it was more in a Western conception of what does it mean heritage, And so an option to develop rock art tourism in the better sustainable way now. It is, let's say, it is an hypothesis. What we are doing, it is to take better account all the different uses and perception, and particularly the local communities. Some of them, they are connected with, they say they have a relation with San descendants, but some of them not at all. But even if they say the rock art sites, they are a special place for them. And to take into account also this kind of relation, it makes sense, and it could add also something and help to develop rock art tourism. So that's why it's also the need to develop a more global approach, and it was our starting point to use the cosmopolitan approach framework. And so I will conclude with this point. So what it is, the cosmopolitan approach? So it is a way to tackle heritage management and to consider, to approach the heritage management issues. And it is more, yes, a conception based on multicultural dimension than it is a formal method. So the aim, it is to identify the cross-cultural and interacting points of interest between several ways to practice and to preserve rock art sites. And these cross-cultural points may be so the constant to develop rock art heritage management plan, for example, in the more sustainable way. So it means this kind of approach needs to identify all the stakeholders, but also to get the voice of all of them. So I will show you now how we tried to apply this approach on what we have done in the Drakensberg area. So when we have started to think about the heritage values attributed to rock art sites in the Drakensberg area, we started with a classic heritage value-based approach. So using different kind of method and data, so site condition assessment, the social practice analysis, and so all what you have here on the slide. Based on this kind of data, we process to the identification of the different kind of value attributed to the site. And so it was very classical, in fact, in terms of result, because you have both scientific, historical, educational values, domestic value, economical value, aesthetic value, recreational value, spiritual value, cultural and identity values. So with a form also of hybridization and interconnection between the different kind of values. But basically, it is a very Western way to also to think about value. And at the end of this study, we were, yes, we saw the limits also of this kind of approach. So it is at this point that we decided to mobilize, yes, to use the cosmopolitan approach framework. And so the aim through this kind of method, it is to move beyond traditional binaries, and and for that to try to find this cross-cultural interested point on the intersection of a different way to use and to practice rock art sites. What we have done, so we consider all the data we collected between 2009 and 2017. So it means we go through again all the interviews that have been done, and included also the tourist survey. that have been done in 2010. And we go through all of the scanners data. All of us, it means that at this time, our research team was composed by five people. So, and it was a very different kind of profile. So between male and female, and between also the different nationality, and also the language we are speaking, and the training we had. So to have let's say a very diversified team of research, it is one point who may help to drive a cosmopolitan approach. And then, so all of them, we go through all the data we have collected, and after, through the discussion, we identify 6 main cross-cultural interest points. So if I show you the difference, and then after we go back to the different stakeholders to discuss these cross-cultural points. So if I show you the difference between first the traditional heritage values identified and the cross-cultural point, interesting point identified through the cosmopolitan approach. So on this slide, you can see the difference between each. So you see, for example, a pleasure. It is a pleasure as the cornerstone between the different uses and practice, uses and perception. So it means a pleasure to go and to enjoy the sites. It may be it is a cross-cultural point included on the same time the pleasure as visitors to go and to have this experience, but it is also the pleasure for members of different kind of local communities to go there and to also to enjoy the landscape. So this it is another way to approach this question of heritage value. So at the end, at least we have identified the 6 major cross-cultural interest points. So now how to think about and how to go through in terms of heritage management. This I don't have the answer at this point, because it's after the question how to construct, to build something from, and starting from this major cross-cultural interest point. So it is a co-working also with the manager institution. And also it have to be associated with a reflection on the modality of governance, and how should management responsibility also be distributed between all the stakeholders. And then at least the question more in terms of method, it's the question of the transferability of this one. So for sure, the values that have been identified, they are directly connected with the data collected into the Drakensberg area. So it means it makes no sense to transfer this cross-cultural interest point identified in the Drakensberg area to another site. Definitely, it makes no sense to do that. But then after the methodology may be transferred, it also has to be improved and reinforced, if I can say. So it is the aim of the project starting now, the COSMO-ART project, why we are here at this time. And one of 2 members of the team, Hugo and Laila, they are here until the end of April for Laila, and until the end of May for Hugo. They are both doing their research inside this project, and this project will so use and try to transfer and improve this cosmopolitan approach by compare 2 areas. So the areas is Kimberley area and the rock outside around Kimberley, and also one area in Namibia in Erongo Mountains. So at least I finished this presentation. I will perhaps put again the camera, and I'm very glad to answer to your question. Yes, Professor Pretty.
Yes, just a very quick one. I noticed from the composition of your research team,
Yes,
that there was no sun person. Am I right?
yes, you're right.
Yes.
Yes, you're
But
right.
at the
It is,
same time,
yes, yes.
at the same time, we see this rock art as sun heritage, as it were. So is there any explanation or any reason why there was no sun person as part of the research team?
Yeah, basically it's so in the Drakensberg area, one of the community they express the feeling to be connected with San people. So the Duma family in the vicinity of Game Pass shelter. So why it was not possible? It was for let's say. Very few of that member are now in this area, and the main guide, the main man, it's very complicated to work with him. So basically, I don't know if I can say these kind of things, but he drank a lot, and en fait, all the time it is drunk. So it is very complicated to work with him. So it was the main reason it was not possible to catch him and to be on the table and to start something with him. But for sure, it is a limit of this of the different also cross-cultural points we identified, because as you've seen, so some Zulu people they have been involved into the team. But yes, you're definitely right, and it is one of the issue also of the way how we will work in Kimberley area. It is to involve local communities related to rock art site into this kind of process. Another question? No? So I think if not, we have finished. So I wish you a very nice day. I will just put again my email address. If after you have some questions, do not hesitate to contact me. And yes, I wish you a good continuation into your study, your heritage study. So it was a pleasure to give you this presentation this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day.